Now I just want to explain how the Tacit Maths Algebra Essentials modules actually work. So each module contains a worksheet which contains exam questions going all the way back to 2005, and they're all based on what I call Algebra Essentials. Right. Now what also is contained in each module is the interactive solutions. Right. So each exam question, you have the solutions here, and the e-learning module guides you through the solutions step by step, explaining each one. Okay, and this corresponds perfectly to the worksheet. But what do I mean by Algebra Essentials? So let's just have a quick look through the layout of the paper 1 of the Leaving Cert Maths. Okay, so since 2012-2013, the aim of the Leaving Cert and the Junior Cert is to encourage a bit more problem solving in the maths class. Right? So for example, if you look at this question here in 2018, as a result of more problem solving, you get a lot of questions like this. Now the students in 2018 will never have seen a question like this before. Okay, it's a completely novel question. And it's up to them to kind of apply their problem-solving skills as well as their knowledge of, in this case, arithmetic sequences to try and solve this, even though they wouldn't have been able to prepare for this question. They wouldn't have seen a question like this before. Right? So you'll see a lot more of these type of questions appearing in the maths paper 1, paper 2, and Junior Cert also. Now, this is a big challenge for students as it's difficult to prepare for these type of questions, and they do take up a significant proportion of the course. But here's the kind of good news that a lot of students often overlook. Okay, so even though there is an increase in these novel problem-solving questions, a significant proportion of the paper is still made up of what I call Algebra Essentials. Right? So if we look back there to 2016, here we have a modulus question, simultaneous equations question. 2017, again a very, very simple factor theorem question. 2018, here we have simultaneous equations, we have more inequalities. 2019, we have algebra fractions, a very simple algebra fractions question. Part A in this case was an identities question. And 2020 then, we had a functions question combined with a logs question. Okay, now these are what I call Algebra Essentials, in that a lot of them are quite routine questions, right? There's things that everybody should know. And the great news, if we look back at let's just investigate 2018 again. If we scroll down through 2018, we have a 25-mark question there, which is all essentials, basic algebra. We have another 25-mark question here, which again, just a bit of factor theorem in there, which everybody should know. And if we keep scrolling, this is more, I wouldn't call this algebra essentials, it's more calculus. This is complex numbers. This is the question I alluded to earlier. But again, down here then, we have another very, very simple factor theorem question. Okay, now, and if you go through the exam questions from 2000 all the way back to 2012, approximately 25% of paper 1 is made up of these Algebra Essentials questions. So that's where the Algebra Essentials worksheets come in. Now, what I would recommend to every Leaving Cert student is that before you start worrying about the novel problem-solving questions that I alluded to earlier, that you focus on the essentials, right? Now, these worksheets are broken down. I have every question in Algebra Essentials 1. I have every Algebra Essential question since 2014 in here. Okay, and I also have them graded from a basic, medium, to advanced questions. And when you're starting your revision journey, or maybe before your pre's or before the Leaving Cert exam, these worksheets could be extremely helpful just to see where you are, where you need help. Now, I also have a kind of a table here that you can kind of assess where you are, right? So let's say if you were doing the simultaneous equations and you have them all perfect, you know how to do them perfectly, then you could say, okay, I'm confident at those. But then you do your modulus questions, there's 3 of them in there. Couldn't do any of those, so your confidence in this case would be very low, right? So then you can focus a bit more then on the modulus chapters, and improve in that area. Now, as I explained earlier, you have the e-learning module then that has your solutions, and if you just want to jump straight away to one particular question, let's say it's exercise 11 on the factor theorem, you can use your table of contents up here, and that will bring you straight to that. And you can either just fly through and find what the solutions are if you want, or if you want to get an explanation of each question, the explanation is down here, and this will explain exactly each step that will help you on your way. Now, if you return to the Tacit Maths homepage, then you'll notice that we have 3 Algebra Essentials modules, which contains almost 50 questions, similar to the worksheet that I showed you previously. And if you scroll down, then you'll see that, okay, if you think you need a bit more work on inequalities or indices and logs or the factor theorem, then you'll find all these more in-depth questions down here, or in-depth modules that focus more deeply on those topics. And finally then, if you still have questions after all of that, there's a question section down here, and you can leave a comment here, and I'll get back to you as soon as you want with an answer to any question that you have.